Om Namo Venkatesaya. So we have covered the Bhagavad Gita slokas in the previous session. Let's move on to the next sloka. Artha Vishanna Sitilascha Bita Goreshu Chavyadishu Vartamana Sankirtya Narayana Shabdamatram Vimukta Dukkha Sukhino Bhavantu. So he's talking about the extolling the greatness of Narayana Namam. Arthaha, that means who have got so much of problems. Vishannaha, that means who has got so much of sorrows in their mind. Sitilaha means completely battered, broken. Bitaha, for fully, completely frightened. Goreshu Vyadishu Vartamanaha, so they are being afflicted with very dreadful diseases. Sankirtya Narayana Sabdamatram, if they just chant the Narayana Sabdamatram, that means if they chant the name of Narayana, Vimukta Dukkaha, so they will completely get relieved from all these dukkhas, that means sorrows, and they will become Sukhino Bhavantu, they will become quite happy. So that means it talks about the extolling the greatness of Narayana Namam. So people in whatever position they are, whether they are in problem, diseases, delusions, or depressions, whatever it is, if they just chant the name of Narayana, they will get to come out of all their sorrows and then become completely happy. So that's what is being talked of, importance of Narayana Nama. Of course, we all know that Jamila Charitra, where Jamila Brahmin was doing all this, this Nitya Agnihotram and all those things. On account of his, bad sangha, he got into a bad company, and therefore he left all his, this Nitya Anushtanas, and therefore started living with her, and then finally got his 10 children through them. The last son's name was given as Narayana. That itself was because of the grace of the Lord, because of his, previous Anushtanas, which he did properly, and therefore he kept the name Narayana. And then at the time of his death, around 85 or 86 years, when the Yamadutas came and then, threw this Yamapasha on him, so out of fear, he called out his son, who was very nearby. Out of his affection for his son called Narayana. As soon as he called the name Narayana, immediately Vishnu Dutas came and removed the noose from the Yamadutas, and then Yamadutas started listing out the various bad karmas this person has done. Then Vishnu Dutas mentioned that yes, we all agree with you that he did all these bad karmas, but then atonement has been done by him. What atonement? They said, he chanted the name of Narayana. No, he didn't call your Narayana in Vaikuntham, he called only his son. Doesn't matter. The moment the name is chanted, it's enough. In fact, they give the example of this medicine. When you go to a doctor, the doctor prescribes the medicine. You don't know what the medicine is, how it works, where it is made, and all those. Nothing need to be known. You just consume the medicine, then you are cured of this disease. Similarly, just because he didn't think about Narayana while chanting the name of Narayana, just called out the name of Narayana, that is enough to do as an atonement for all the sins that he has committed, and therefore he must be relieved. Therefore, this Yamakinkaras went and reported the matter to this Yama, and Yama said, yes, please don't go near any of the Vishnu Dutas. We have no control over Vishnu Dutas, and therefore, please go to people who commit sins only. That's what he said. So that's the greatness of Narayana, because he stands the name of Narayana. Let's move on to the next sloka. Kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite swabhavat karomi yadyat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samarpayami. This is a pure, this Karma Yoga. When you start chanting the Vishnu Sahasranamam, see, Mahavishnu Pritete Sahasranama Jape Vinyoga, that's what he said. That's not for the sake of pleasure of Mahavishnu, I'm chanting this Vishnu Sahasranam. That's similarly, while ending it, we are saying Kayena Vacha. Kayena Vacha means Kayena means this Sariram, this body. Vacha means the speech. Kayena Vacha, Manasa, the mind. Indriya, all these Panchendriyas, the Karma Indriyas, 5, and the Non-Indriyas, 5, 10 Indriyas. Kayena Vacha means Buddhyatmana. Buddhya, that means this intellect. Buddhya Atmanava, that means all my ego, that means the Jivatma. Buddhya Atmanava, Prakritehe Swabhavat, whatever I do out of my own nature. Prakriti means Swabhavam, whatever I did out of my own nature. Karomi Yadya Sakalam Parasmi, whatever I did, I'm offering to Karomi Yadya Sakalam Parasmi, Narayana, I'm offering everything unto the Sriman Narayana. And then that is the Karma Yoga. So that means whatever you do, you just do it as an offering to Bhagwan, and that's what is Karma Yoga. That's the sloka. In fact, the best definition of Karma Yoga is given by Ramana Maharshi in his, Upadesha Saram. He wrote something called Upadesha Saram. There he says, Ishvararpitam Nechaya Kritam Chitta Shodakam Mukti Sadakam. That means Ishvararpitam. That means Karma. What is Karma Yoga? Ishvararpitam. So offering whatever you do to Bhagavan. Na Ichaya Kritam. That means without any selfish desires. If you do any acts which is without any selfish desires and offer it to Bhagavan, that is Karma Yoga. Ishvara nature, Chitta Shodakam, that purifies your intellect or mind. Mukti Sadakam, that leads you ultimately to the Mukti or the liberation as such. So that is the Karma Yoga. So all these things which we are doing it as an offering to Bhagavan. Once you start doing it as an offering to Bhagavan, then slowly you will realize, whenever you do any Naivedyam to Bhagavan, you will give only best things. You will give if the flower is rotten or something, you won't offer it to Bhagavan. Similarly, if the fruit is rotten, you won't offer it to Bhagavan. Similarly, when you start doing bad acts, then you will think twice. oh, how can I offer it to Bhagavan? Because it's not a good act. So then you will change yourselves and start doing only good things, and good things will be offered to the Bhagavan. Sriman Narayana iti samarpayam. That's what it is. That's the change of attitude that will happen to us once you start offering everything you do to Bhagavan as such. So then the other two slokas are the Chama Prarthana. Yadachara padaprishtam matra heenam tiyad bhavet tatsarvam chamyatam deva narayana namostute. Yad akshara padabrashtam. So that means if there is something, some mistakes or some corruption has taken place in akshara. Akshara means the this letters. Padabrashtam. Pada means words. So if yadakshara padabrashtam, if I made some mistakes in any of the aksharas or the words, yadakshara padabrashtam matra heenam tyadbhat. That means matra means the time required for saying each akshara. You have the hrisva and dirgha. That is one, in Tamil we'll call it as kuril and nedil. That is one matra for hrisva. A is hrisva, one matra. A is dirgha. That is two matras. So the time required for pronouncing is called as matra. Matra heenam tyadbhat means what I need to say is hrisva, I say it as dirgha, or what I need to say dirgha, I say it as hrisva. All those things. Matra heenam tyadbhavet. Tatsarvam chamyatam. All those things let it be forgiven. Tatsarvam chamyatam deva narayana namaste. I surrender unto you, O my Narayana. That's what he said. Then sloka is Visarga bindu matrani padapadaksharaani cha nyunani chatriktani chamasva purushotam. Same extension. Visarga bindu matrani. So visarga, wherever I need to pronounce visarga properly, I have not done. Bindu means where there is a dot. Heenantu, even it is heenam. But then when it comes followed by tha, it becomes hinantu. That means that is the change that happens in bindu. Visarga bindu matrani. Again, the time required for pronouncing each of these letters. Padapadaksharaani cha. That means either in the words or in the quarter, one pada. Vishwam Vishnur Vashatkaro is one pada. Vishwam is one padam. Padam is word, padam is one quarter. Padapada aksharaani cha, even in the letters. Nyunani chatriktan. That means where I have said where there is a deficiency, where I need to say dirgha, I said it in hrisva. Nyunani cha atiriktan, that means where I have to say the hrisva, I said it as dirgha. So both are mistakes. If you say the shorter one as longer or longer one short, both are mistakes. Nyunani cha atiriktani chamasva purushottama. Oh Purushottama, oh is the best among all this, the jivatmas. Chamasva, oh forgive me. That's what he says. That is the Chama Prarthana. I'll just give two examples how by changing the pronunciation makes a totally different meaning. One is when Ravana, Kumbhakarna and then Vibhishana made a penance to both Brahma. So Brahma appeared before him. So Ravana asked, Ravano Manusha Dannehi Avadyatam Tadatma. That means other than the Manushas, I should not be killed by anybody. That was the boon that he got from Brahma. So the Kumbhakarna wanted this Nirdevatvam. That means he wanted the Devatas to be completely not exist, and therefore he wanted to have Nirdevatvam. But at that time, because the Saraswati get into the tongue of Kumbhakarna, because if it becomes Nirdevatvam, it becomes a great problem. And therefore she said, instead of Nirdevatvam, he said Nidratvam. So that's the mistake he made. Nirdevatve Chaya Nidram. So he asked Nidratvam. Nidratvam means sleepiness. So that's why he had the 6 months of sleep and the 6 months of awakening. So that is what it is. So Nirdevatvam became Nidratum. So how the things got changed. There's another example. There was a person who was a great person. He was not a complete Sanskrit scholar, but he studied. And learned few mantras. That's what it is. So he one day one lady invited him to his home for lunch, food. So this person went there. But that lady knew Sanskrit. So when she offered the food and all those things, then she prostrated before him. Then he wanted to bless her, and therefore he said, normally we say Dirgha Sumangali Bhava. Dirgha means long. Sumangali means live along with your husband. So as long as she is with the husband, she is called as Sumangali. So that means you will live for a long life along with your husband. That was the normal blessing you do when a housewife, prostrates before a person. So because he was so happy with the food and other things, he said instead of Dirgha, he thought maybe if he says longer Dirgha, then she must be much happy. So he said Dirgha Sumangali Bhava. That's what he said. Then that lady knew Sanskrit. Then immediately she took a fight with him. She said, if you split the Dirgha Sumangali Bhava, then become Dirgha Asumangali Bhava. That means it gives an opposite meaning. It means you live for a long period of time without your husband. That is the meaning of this. If you just add Dirgha, becomes Dirgha, just one matra more. That completely changes the meaning. So then, of course, this person said that I don't know Sanskrit, and therefore I thought that by saying Dirgha long period of time, you live for a long period of time. That was the one. So that's why. So any aksharas are those things can have a lot of impact on that. These stotras and all, Bhagavan is so kind, and therefore even if you make a mistake, if you do the Chama Prarthana, these two Chama Prarthanas can be said after any slokas. So Bhagavan will definitely forgive us. Of course, we cannot do intentionally. So unintentionally, if something has crept in, he will definitely forgive us. Thank you for giving this opportunity. I thank my Gurunath as well as Bhagavan Sri Krishna and my Kuladevam Sri Padmavati Samita Srinivasa Paramal for giving this opportunity to share the knowledge Vishnu Sahasranamam with all of you. Om Namo Venkatesaya. Thanks to the entire team who worked day and night to picturize this whole words or give life to these words. My thanks to all the team members as well as to the Viswas platform, and finally to all the people who are the listeners. Om Namo Venkatesaya.